Welcome to Resort Trades Talk. I'm Sharon Wilson, publisher of Resort Trades Media Group, which exclusively serves professionals in the timeshare or vacation ownership resort industry, and all with free media. So go to resorttrades.com to subscribe to our monthly magazine and our weekly e-zine. Today, we're talking to Justin Vermuth. He is Senior Vice President of State Government Affairs and ARDA-ROC, which is, of course, two functions of the American Resort Development Association, ARDA. So, Justin, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Sharon.
Well, you're very welcome. And you photograph very well, by the way.
Thank you. Hopefully, minimal touch ups are needed.
Well, today, of course, our focus is going to be on the upcoming symposium, the legal symposium. But before we get to that, you have a pretty long title, which is tough for me to repeat. But tell us a little bit about your responsibilities and how your team works on behalf of the industry and its owners.
Yes, I think we at ARDA, we like to say we're a small but mighty team. So we wear many hats, and mine is no exception. So, my team is, we lead the state and local advocacy for the association. And so that's on behalf of the industry and then the millions of people that own timeshare. I'd say in a given year, my team reviews thousands of pieces of legislation and regulatory proposals from around the country. And those things range from HOA governance issues, consumer protection, finance, tax, kind of run the gambit of issues that our industry face. And I like to say, our work kind of is a combination of three kind of main things, and that's education, advocacy, and relationship building. We spend a tremendous amount of time flying across the country to educate legislators and regulators about timeshare, economic impact of timeshare. We have a tremendous resource through the AIF that arms us with all sorts of great information that helps us in our work. And timeshare is unique, both in the legal and operational aspects. So that takes a little bit of a learning curve for, many legislators and regulators who haven't been exposed to our industry.
Yes, and speaking of education, that's the thing we're going to be talking about today. Although I hope eventually that we can also ask you a little bit about the October event, the uh, ARDA Leadership and Policy Forum coming up in October 28th through 30th at the Willard. But firstly, let's talk about this ARDA and University of Florida Legal Symposium, which is taking place in August 26 through 27 in Orlando. And by the way, before I let you begin, I just want to urge our listeners, go to arda.org if you need further information about any of what we're going to discuss. So, Justin, what prompted you to start this meeting and who's it intended for?
Yes, absolutely. So, really, we kind of looked at the broader hospitality industry. I think, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And the American Hotel and Lodging Association, in partnership with Georgetown Law, has been putting on a conference for about 15 years now, based in Washington, D.C. And so we heard from many legal practitioners in our industry that they've been going for many, many years and have really enjoyed the conference, but it was a little bit light on timeshare content.
Right.
And so several years ago, Jim Hunter, who is the former general counsel of Marriott Vacations Worldwide, came to us and said, what about a timeshare industry specific conference? And we immediately saw the opportunity. There was some hurdles that we needed to overcome. I think one of the big ones was finding an academic partner that could really, elevate the program and kind of provide a practitioners and an academic view to many of the issues. And So we were delighted when we were able to secure a partnership with the University of Florida, one of the top law schools in the country. And so that was kind of the first big step and one we were very excited about. I think the second part of your question was, who is this geared towards? And really, it's a broad audience. So you can be a 30-year timeshare practitioner or, somebody who's just starting out. You can be, a local attorney that simply wants to pick up some CLE credits, and it would be a great opportunity for you to do so. You'll meet some fabulous people, and I guarantee you'll be entertained by a lot of really good sessions that we put together.
It sounds like you're doing a lot of work and hopefully networking through these. I hope you have a good showing. Are there any standout sessions at this symposium that you're particularly looking forward to?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think we have incredibly strong programming from start to finish. We have sessions covering everything from AI in the legal profession, the financing and tax structuring of a hospitality project, kind of from soup to nuts, if you wanted to put one together. We have conversations with judges talking about ethical issues. We have all of the, or most of the leading general counsel in our industry together on a panel with some folks from the hotel industry as well. So, we have a great diversity of speakers. I think, one of my favorite aspects of the symposium is not just the topics, it's that diversity of perspectives that we bring together. You may have, academics on the same panel as somebody that's been practicing law in the area of timeshare for 30 years. And, they'll throw out some ideas that are kind of challenge their conventional way of thinking and, bring up issues or look at things a little bit differently than they've ever thought about it. And, another great example is if you take a hospitality company that has both a hotel and timeshare business, we have a session on negotiating those licensing agreements. And anybody that's been a part of those are very spirited negotiations usually. And to have the perspective from the timeshare practitioner and the hotel side just makes things that much more interesting. So they're get you thinking, they're entertaining, and you see a lot of different viewpoints that you don't typically see at a timeshare conference.
Wow, that is, and I hope that we'll be able to get back with you after this is over, and maybe some of your speakers, and we could have a panel and do another podcast with you and the panel.
Sounds wonderful.
So, what are the standout sessions? I think that you mentioned this, the companies that have dual hospitality and timeshare departments. That's got to be a bear for people to tackle. Maybe that, and what else do you think somebody's gonna walk away with?
Yeah. So I would say, three things. Any attendee, I'd love if they walked away learning something new. If you're a, seasoned practitioner in the area of timeshare law, perhaps you learn a new perspective on an issue that you thought you understood really well. And then, a new personal connection in the industry. I think, as many of the kind of most valuable pieces of these conferences, the sessions are always great, but a lot of the important stuff happens outside of the sessions. It's the relationships that you build, the business contacts when you have that, kind of burning question and you need somebody to talk to get some perspective. So we built plenty of networking time so people can build relationships with others that are working in the same industry as them. I think lastly, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention there's continuing legal education credits that are associated with this as well. So, I like to think that if you know nothing about timeshare and you're just coming for the CLE credits, if that's what you came for, I promise you'll be leaving with so much more than just those. So that's our goal.
I can't imagine if I were an attorney in the area that had any involvement at all or interest in this type of a company, that I'd wanna miss this. This sounds just totally invaluable. So, Justin, how can I help or how can Resort Trades help spread this word besides we'll be reworking this for an article, of course, in the trades, as well as our e-zine and social media. What else can we do?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So all of the information just went live on our website. So now people can register, they can see some of the sessions that we've put together, who the speakers are going to be. There'll be some forthcoming announcements in the next coming weeks with hopefully a pretty prolific keynote speaker that'll be a part of the event. Once that's confirmed, we'll put that out there. But lots of exciting things to come, and we would appreciate your help in getting the word out.
Absolutely. And we'll, of course, in all of our materials, we'll put a link to the registration area and the information area. So I really like to help there. And also, of course, we didn't talk about the leadership and policy forum coming up in October. Now, in my estimation, of course, ARDA used to always have a fall conference. So does this kind of take the place of the fall conference? Do you expect the same kind of audience there, or is this does this have a different objective?
So this has taken the place of our fall conference, and really we rebranded this to take advantage of us being in DC. Many organizations, trade associations will do fly-ins to DC, where folks can hear from legislators firsthand about, what keeps them up at night, what they're focused on for both the current and next legislative sessions. And so, with us having a conference there annually, we wanted to lean into that a little bit more and kind of rebrand it. We've focused on bringing more folks in from regulatory agencies and off the hill if they're available to really talk to attendees about some of those things that I mentioned.
Great. Well, that's great. I would imagine you wouldn't hesitate if one of our listeners had a contact for you that would be of interest for you to arrange a visit with. Perhaps if you would share your email address, maybe people could get in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Always willing to share contacts and hear from listeners. It takes a village to do what we do. My email is jvermuth. That's V as in Victor, ERMUTH at ARDA.org.
That's pretty simple and everything. Well, I really appreciate your time, Justin, and I hope we can reschedule something sooner rather than later because I really want to find out what the next steps are for people, listeners who want to learn more and we want to help spread the message.
Well, we greatly appreciate that. And this was fun. I would love to do it again with you.
Well, thank you. And just FYI, in our July issue, we got a wonderful article from Lena Combs at Witham about
Mhm.
this, what's it called?
Is it the SIRS study, the
Yeah.
structural integrity?
For reserves. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we're going to be featuring that in July. So I don't know if you have any interest in weighing in on that, we'd love to have maybe a quote or 2 from you.
That's an
Send me
issue we've focused on from a state
Yeah,
legislative standpoint around the
yeah,
country. So,
great.
especially in Florida.
I'm gonna send you her article, and then if you could quickly weigh in on it,
For what topic?
uh, for the
The SIRS study?
yes.
Yeah. So what angle is she taking on it?
She says, SIRS update, what it did, what it didn't do. And it's a clear, practical guide for condominium owners and board members. She said what the update did do was gave associations more time, expanded ways to fund required reserves, and allowed temporary pauses in studies and reserve payments only in limited circumstances, and clarified which buildings are covered. It raised the cost threshold for required components and required new conflict of interest disclosures. And what the update didn't do was it did not remove the obligation to complete an SIRS. It did not allow owners to waive the SIRS reserve funding.
Yeah.
Okay. And it did not change the 10-year update cycle, and it did not reduce the safety components that must be reviewed. Also, it did not expand exemptions mostly.
I think from an industry standpoint, we can all rally around some of the goals of the SIRS legislation that we've seen around the country. Things like promoting safety, transparency, proper reserve planning, all things that, all of us can support. I think the challenge for us and my team was working with legislators and regulators to make sure there was proper implementation of these laws. And, if you're going to look at a condo or timeshare building and deem that, a couple $1 million in repairs needs to be made, well, there needs to be some adequate on ramping for people to be able to prepare for those costs. And obviously critical issues need to be repaired ASAP, but things that aren't so critical, there needs to be some implementation for owners to be able to deal with those costs. And so that was really kind of our main role from a state legislative standpoint when we encountered proposals for these laws.
Well, thank you, Justin. On behalf of Resort Trades Media Group, we've been speaking with Justin Vermuth, who is Senior Vice President of State Affairs for ARDA, as well as ARDA-ROC. And I appreciate that very much.
Thank you. Always a pleasure, Sharon.
Appreciate it so much. And we'll talk to you again soon. I'm quite sure you
All
got
right.
your number.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Have a good one.
You too. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.